I think they set this whole YouTube boxing movement way back. I think Jake Paul, at least, he seems to have more skills than all of them, at least from my humble opinion. But these two fights were so bad. Everything about it was boring and lame. The whole thing stunk. KSI with the holding, it was infuriating to me. Ariel Helwani commented on it as well, how bad it was. But my God, the holding, jumping in and holding. And the crazy thing is, occasionally he'd score with the jumping in and the being kind of awkward. But, I mean, Tommy Fury, to your point, KSI was taking chances and throwing punches. Granted, he was holding a lot, but Tommy's got to be able to get this guy out of there. He's a professional fighter. He's like, I don't know. This was hard to watch. Tommy Fury also said he's done with this boxing. He's going back to boxing, traditional boxing, which is probably a good move for him. He needs some more development if he can't get these like amateurish guys out of there. At this stage of his career, he's been boxing his whole life. But man, this was hard to watch. I am not looking forward to seeing any more of these from these guys that were involved.
Yeah, listen, first of all, give Helwani credit, as I text and tweeted, for being honest about it, saying that this is hard to watch.
Yeah.
He's getting paid.
Breath of fresh air.
Yeah, breath of fresh air for sure. We talk every week, it seems like, about these commentators howling for their meals and not telling the truth or the obvious that we're watching, but they don't want to upset anyone at the network who's paying them. Well, what about upsetting the people that are paying the network? Us, the fans. So Helwani did a rare thing. He told the truth. I hate to say it's rare, but it is rare nowadays. So he told the truth. Well, we were all thinking this is hard to watch, what you said earlier. Of course, Fury's the actually professional boxer here, right? And he's supposed to, as you touched on, and I'm going to get to your point, where some fans might be, whatever, just obviously disappointed in the overall action, and it disappointed maybe in Tommy Fury, even though he don't have that many fights, but he's been around a long time. He had amateur fights, but they obviously disappointed in his performance, okay? Here it is. I know he was supposed to, Fury being he, easily handle KSI. Only problem was, and I'm not making excuses, but this is just what it was. First of all, he didn't take his athletic greens. That's number one. He didn't take his athletic greens. But that might have helped. But here's the thing. He chose the wrong game plan and approach, Ken. And bear with me here. When you're fighting a raw, awkward fighter like KSI, obviously, right, you don't necessarily press him. He pressed him. Now, a lot of people thought that would mean he would get rid of him. He thought that too, probably. Why else would he do it? But you don't press a guy like that because, A, you might walk into a wild shot, and B, you now allow him to kind of bring you down to his level, to be close proximity, where he can grab and get you caught up in the physical chaos that is going on with him, that he brings. So you're much better off, staying on the outside. And I was kind of shocked that they didn't understand this in their pre-fight fight plan. You're just much better staying on the outside and picking spots, letting him make mistakes with his wide and amateur punches. Let him help you by reaching in, where he'll make himself available to counters on the outside. But instead, Fury wanted to be aggressive, and he wanted to be the boss and show that he dominated him and get him out of there. But instead, he just fell into the quicksand. Really, it really was watching somebody fall into quicksand he couldn't get out of. Like watching those Tarzan movies where the guy in the jungle walks into the quick and help, I can, I'll throw you a twig, but I don't know if that's going to help you, a lot. And obviously, it transgressed into an ugly fight all night because, again, he couldn't get out of that quicksand. Funny thing, here's for me, is that in Fury's last fight with Paul, he looked good and with a much better fighter in Paul. And he did it by boxing well, which he should have done versus KSI. I think I understand what happened. I think in his mind that KSI wasn't as good as Paul. And obviously he was right. So he thought that he'd just go forward and stop him easily, get rid of him. But it's actually easier, Ken. In my business, and I've done this with fighters, where I've had fighters that when they're in there with more polished fighters, if you will, they look better. When they're in there with more amateurs fighters, at the beginning until they get a lot of experience, they have a harder time. And that's what he went through. It's actually easier sometimes to look good versus a better fighter than with a novice raw fighter. Because the better fighter is going to do the right things and throw the punches the right way, which is what you're prepared for. And it creates less chaos, while the sloppier fighter throws punches from the wrong places, angles, and makes it harder, especially if you just walk into him. Again, I was very surprised that Tommy Fury and his people didn't have a better plan. I thought Fury won. You know, there was a little whatever. Some people, I don't know if it was clear. Some people thought that maybe KSI won. I thought Fury won, but it got to the point like, who cares? Yeah, you know, that was
Exactly.
that was the problem. Like, well,
Yeah.
like, do you really? Nobody won at that point.
Yeah.
But I thought Fury won. But in the end, as I said earlier, the future, and you touched on too, the future of doing these type of events may have been lost, and Tommy Fury's stock as a fighter probably, I mean, he'll go back and have a chance to, to get to where he wants to get to, but his stock has dropped. Another thing, I made a few points here. Bell was wrong. Did you notice that the bell rang 17 seconds early in one round? And
Yes.
I mean, really. And I was thinking, Ken, it might have been other rounds too, because on my TV at least, after that they seemed to stop showing the clock.
That's the best way to do it, right? Just remove all accountability.
So, I don't know. It was a little crazy night. Again, Fury made the fight harder than it had to be for him. As I tweeted, I wasn't positive who won, although in my tweet, I thought that Fury won, but I was positive who lost. That was easy. Us.